to Competitive Speed Series. It's yet another round of racing.
What's going to happen in turn 1?
4, 5 red lights here in Shanghai.
They will need an even bigger miracle.
This is completely flipped on its head.
Now the gloves have come off.
You will not believe your eyes.
Oh, into the wall! For the first time, EVE have won a race!
They have beaten the unbeatable team title for TF10. They are back on top. Hello, good evening, and a warm welcome to you. Welcome back to Competitive Speed Series Season 6. We have arrived at long last at the next round here in Imola. My name is Frostbreath, aka Rob, and I once again be your commentator for tonight. We've already gone to track, so we're going to have to be quite quickly. I accidentally started this a little bit too late, so apologies about that one. The standings are as follows. It is a 63-point lead for VNT over FRT. They are starting to fall behind now, and it's time for them to pick up the pieces and try to get ahead a bit more. Unfortunately, it's been a struggle so far. They've had one or two brilliant moments, but VNT have been on top of it so far all throughout the season, bar one race. They've 4 out of the 7 wins to their names. One of them is a 1-2, the other is a 1-3. And 2 others are with the second driver out of the podium. Either way, they are looking very strong still. Now, though, it's time for Imola. And it's always a good place to be for some proper qualifying and racing as well. So let's see what the drivers can do. As you can see, several drivers already headed out on track. It's Joseda Nieto for AMR. Second in line at the moment. Sixten Lindhard is out first. He is getting ready to bring his team to the top. That is, of course, what they're hoping to do. And it's taking a while for the next driver to come out, but that is ET8 Giovanni Baruzza. You can see there's quite a few new names for several teams. For example, VNT have brought Tom Wolfgram next to Simon Engel. Simon, of course, being a familiar name, top of the driver standings here in this series too, although that is far less important than the team standings, of course. Tom Wolfgram, a new face, let's see what he can do. F1AF have brought the familiar two of Jordan Mopti, aka Big Schutz, and Benjamin Letteneur, aka Teeks. Then we've got one driver TNT, unfortunately tonight. Adam Schummer has got some serious wheel issues. So Nick Golden, aka Supply Raptor, is going to have to try it on his own. Let's hope that the wheel issues for Adam will be fixed later down the line. EVR missing completely, unfortunately. One of them was on EA, which CSS Steam only, so that doesn't really work out. And Sound Coral is missing. We do not know anything about where he is, so he's completely gone at the moment. So no Haas cars, aka EVR cars, out on track tonight. Unless, of course, they join mid-quali, in which case they'll have to serve a qualifying ban at the very least. So that's how it stands at the moment. As for IoT, they've brought in Nick, aka Nicolin, and Spetsy. OMB, Anton Shebotarov, Liam Hiley. FRT brought Sixten Lindhard, the man we're watching right now, who's about to finish his qualifying lap in the middle of a whole lot of traffic. His teammate Rev is on an outlap at the moment, and Sixten Lindhard slots in a 1 minute 13.1 to start off the night with. Joseda Nieto unvalidated his lap, so that means we're switching next to Giovanni Baruzza on his way through Sector 123.6. So far, not too shabby. Let's see if he can find something more later down the line in Sector 2. A tricky bit coming up right here. Turns 11, 12, 13. It's looking quite stable, though a little bit too wide. Thankfully, no invalidation. And he heads to the Variante Alta, 49.1. Can he get anywhere near Sixten's lap time? We'll find out in a few seconds. You can see there somebody going across the line. Alex Santana starting his hot lap right there for TF10. They've had not such a great week last time round. Not such a great race. Ooh, that's quite wide there, fortunately for him. Baruzza is not getting his invalidation just yet. And that means he goes across the line to post a 13.7, which is quite a distance away from a Sixten Lindhard. Next up, I believe, is one of the VNT drivers. It's Tom Wolfgram. And it looks like he's definitely sizing up to be just as fast as the rest of the VNT guys. He's posting a 1 minute 13.4, just slightly slower now than Spezzi, who posts a second lap time with his teammate Nick in P5. Let's see if we can find Simon Engel. Has invalidated, moves out of the way of one of the Red Bulls, who just goes back into the pit lane anyway. Looks like Simon Engel is going to try again on the same set of tires. So what we have here, 7 drivers having set a lap time so far. The slowest of the lap time drivers is surprisingly Mark Schruter for TF10. Let's hope his teammate will fare a little bit better. Alex Santana, 49.0 in the middle sector. Just one corner there to go. Technically, this is the last corner right here, turn 19. And then across the line, 30.7 only. But still, Joe, well, good enough for P4. But it's 6/10 away from provisional pole as it stands. Anton Chebotarov right here, I believe just behind Jonas Orpel in the ET8 car. His teammate Liam Hiley sitting in P6, 13.8. And Anton heads back in. No lap time for him just yet. Simon Engel then has been very fast all throughout this season. Definitely shaping up to be one of the VIPs for the team, that's for sure. Alongside Ryan Modler, they've been a duo for quite a long time now. This time though, it's Tom Wolfgram alongside Simon Engel, and Simon goes into P2, just behind his nearest rival, Sixten Lindhard. Sixten is proving to be a strong asset so far for FRT, and it's exactly what they need. Big Shot, aka Jordan Mopti, with a 49.3 in the middle sector. As across the line goes one of the ET8 cars, followed by a Red Bull that's back into the pit lane. That's Rev, I think, P10 at the moment. Jordan Mopti, 14.1. That's not good enough. Just behind Gabriel Moya. Looks like, yeah, look at that. It's Adam Schumer. He's managed to fix his wheel. Thankfully for TRT, and they need him. And he's already on his way for a proper hot lap. Let's join him on board and see if we accidentally jinx him on his steering wheel issues already. Sector 1 though, quite safe, 23.8. Just about 2/10 slower than, was it? Bagutsa, I believe. We were watching earlier. Either way, the most important thing is that Adam Schumer is on his way and driving. There's quite a bit of traffic having to move out of the way. Oh, just a little bit too wide. It's just a fraction. Technically, his wheel really didn't leave the track at all. And he carries on anyway. He's going to have to try again then. Jonas Orpel has now set a lap time P4, which is very rapid indeed. Just ahead of Supply Retro, aka Nick Golden. And Adam Schumer would have posted a 14.185, which would have been only P15. I think he made a few mistakes here and there. Anton Chebotarov, one of 2 drivers without a lap time as he heats his tires, going to the end of Sector 2. Let's see if he can join his teammates somewhere in the mid-pack. Sixten Lindhard on his way once again as well, but it looks like... Oh, that's his lap time definitely over. Let's see if there's any damage to this Red Bull. Looks like it's in one piece. Now we've got a poll up, by the way, with a poll, so to say. Which team will be on pole position? FRT, VNT, ET8 or somebody else? If it's some other team, let us know in the chat who you think it's going to be. So far, though, it's FRT, VNT, IRT, and ET8 in the top 4, and the Supply Raptor not too far behind either. Nick Golden doing a great job for the team. Hopefully Adam Schumer can join him up there. He just plops back out of the pit lane just ahead of one of the Mercedes, and behind the other. Sixten Lindhard right here with his ruined lap time. And Joseda Nieto coming back in 14.4 so far, which is 1.25 seconds away from pole position. Some time then to be found for AMR. They haven't had the season they probably wanted to have. Once again, a pole with ET8 on, it is ambitious. Well, you never know. Jonas Orpel isn't that far away. About 2.5 tenths. Not too bad. Anton Chebatarov next to cross the line to post a lap time. Where is he going to be? He's well faster than his teammate. Goes into P7. Strong effort for Chebatarov. For ONB. ONB, of course, having gained their first podium on their debut on the other Italian track, aka Monza. And now we're on the second Italian track, Imola. Simon Engel back on his way. Let's see how he's going to try and nail the lap time to try and overtake Sixten Lindhard for provisional pole position. Headed through the Tamburello already, and then to the Varianti Villeneuve. Let's see what he can do here. End of sector 1, improvement, 5 milliseconds. That's not a whole lot. Then perhaps the middle sector. Ooh, car wobbling a little bit. Coming out slightly to wide then of Tosa. And the Aqua Minerale is coming up next. Turns 11, 12, 13. And then we'll see if he's gained some more time at the end of sector 2. But the car looks a little bit unstable, a little nervous to be honest. Still 5 milliseconds. It's the tiniest of margins he's got. But it's nowhere near good enough to claim pole position. Unless he finds some magic in the final sector, like we used to say here. It's one more proper corner to go for Simon Engel as he goes to finish his lap. Yes, he is. So he's found some time in the final sector. It is a 13.280, about half a tenth quicker. Gets a little bit closer to pole position, but still well over a tenth away. Spetsy then, 2/100ths of a second quicker through the middle sector. He's going to try and attack Simon Engel's time. Across the line. Ooh, 6 milliseconds away from Simon Engel. In the meanwhile, Nick Golden, having invalidated his lap, that will not be an improvement for sure. Has been now pushed down to P6 as Mark Schluter is showing a bit more of the good old TF10 pace we saw last season all throughout. Mark Schluter now 4th fastest and about just over 2 tenths away from provisional pole position. Can his teammate Alex Santana do the same? No, he can't because he's invalidated. We'll have to stay in P8. Nicolin just having started his hot lap right there. We're going to try and find somebody on a hot lap at the moment. Gabriel Moya, I think, is pushing right now. He certainly is going fast through the corners. Never mind. 2 seconds slower in sector 1. It's definitely not push lap as he moves out of the way for one of the Alpines. Might be Adam Shore. It's not. Adam Schumer is currently in the middle sector, 49.0. That's pretty fast, actually. He had a 14.1 on his invalidated lap. I think he's onto something a lot faster this time round. TRT wouldn't mind having 2 cars in the top 10. Some valuable points up for grabs. With Adam Schumer's wheel fixed, what's he going to post? A 1 minute 13 something. 13.6. That's a whole lot better than his previous lap. Slots him into P10, and now every driver's got a lap time under their belt. The slowest of the lot at the moment, Zeta Nieto, is about 2 tenths quicker in sector 1. Definitely fishing for an improvement right here. Or angling for an improvement. Through Minerale, and then out to the end of sector 2 is where you will have to see if he's going to be anywhere close. Well, it could potentially try and overtake at least the F1 and F drivers. A bit of a wheel spin right there, out of the Alta. 14.4 it was. He's about 3 tenths quicker at the moment. And it's looking to be potentially a 1 minute 13 something. Depending on how much he finds in the final 2 corners. Across the line, 13 or 14.0. At least it's quicker than the F1 AF drivers. They have now been pushed to the last row of the grid. F1 AF starting to fall behind more and more. But they will still not be bottom of the standings because EVR is completely missing. So they'll definitely not score any points. But as it stands, both F1 AF drivers out of the points and well away from pole position. Especially Jordan Lopti, about a second away from Sixten Lindhard, who still has his original lap time on the board, as Jonas Orpel has actually improved quite a lot to a 13.2. Maybe the 88 in the pole is not that ambitious. Because Jonas Orpel is there. About half a tenth away from Sixten Lindhard. But then again, Sixten Lindhard's lap time is from the first attempt. His teammate Rev, in the meanwhile, is nowhere near pole position at the moment. It's not something FRT can use. If they want to win the championship, they're gonna have to bring two very strong drivers every single race. And so far, Rev is not living up to that expectation. Let's hope he can find something in his final run. There's less than 3 minutes remaining. VNT have decided to go out early to potentially catch a mistake and invalidation so they can try again. Let's see if they can stay ahead of traffic. Simon Engel, Tom Wolfgram, P3, P7 at the moment on the grid. Simon Engel now on his way. On his first attempt on the final run. Thankfully, not a lot of traffic just yet. Some people exiting the pit lane. A lot of people now exiting the pit lane. Simon Engel has passed them all with ease. Tom Wolfgram is now approaching on the Red Bulls fast. Thankfully, he moves out of the way. No issues for Tom then. Simon Engel a 10th quicker through Sector 1. Tom Wolfgram about a 10th sector quicker through Sector 1 as well. They're on it. Rev now started his hot lap 2. Also right bang on in the middle of traffic and invalidated straight away in turn 2. Thankfully for him, there's still some time to recharge the battery. Make sure the tires remain in decent temperature. Simon Engel, 2/10 now, almost quicker in the middle sector. He's on his way for a provisional pole. Tom Wolfgram, I haven't spotted it, but he's invalidated. So let's hope he can recharge his battery in time. But for now, it's Simon Engel we're going to have to watch. The first of the top drivers to attack pole position. Can Sixten Lindhard be dethroned at least temporarily? Yes, he can. 13.0 by Simon Engel. As Tom Wolfgram's qualifying is over. That is bad news for VNT. P7 is the bet Wolfgram is going to have. That's not something they need. Rev. Yep, he's going to have to try again, as I said earlier. Several others on their way at the moment. Adam Schummer on a push lap. Giovanni Baruzza is about to finish his. So we'll stick with him for a little while. Although this is not his push lap, never mind. This is going to be another out lap. Still plenty of time remaining to make sure everything is up to speed, so to say. So Sixten Lindhard then is the man we need to watch. 33 milliseconds quicker in Sector 1. On the limit through Sector 2. And that means, yeah, there we are. Just over a 10th quicker than in Sector 2. At the moment, it looks like he could be safe for pole position. Needs to negotiate the final 2 proper corners perfectly. And then there is still every opportunity to reclaim pole position. But I can see on my minimap that Simon Engel is trying again. He managed to cross the line just in time. Oh, he destroys the track. Sixten to go for pole position. He does! 12.985, but it's not over yet. Simon Engel on the same set of tires is pushing once more. He needs only a few hundredths of a second. As he goes through Sector 1, that is what he has found? No, he's backed out already. That is his lap over. Jonas Orpel cannot go for pole position anymore. He's finished, stays in P3. The best he can manage. Spetsy perhaps for IRT. Can he pull off a big surprise? No, he pulls in the pit lane actually instead of a surprise. Rev across the line improves to P11. That's a bit better. Probably not ideal yet. Mark Schluter across the line. Doesn't improve. Stays P6. Is there somebody who can beat Sixten Lindhard still? I don't think so. Oh! Nick Golden definitely can't. Alex Santana improves to a big P5. TF10 looking a bit stronger again this week. But it's almost it's completely certain now. Sixten Lindhard will have pole position for FRT, a crucial pole position perhaps. And Simon Engel, he couldn't touch him tonight. He had pole position for a little while. But Sixten is the VIP for FRT tonight, that's for sure. But I think there could be more drivers in the mix for the win. All the way down to, well, perhaps even P8 and P9 could be in for victory. P9, of course, being Tom Wolfgram, the second VNT driver tonight. So yeah, there's that. Let's see if Rev can get closer to Sixten Lindhart. And the poll shows that FRT was indeed the most voted team to get pole position, just ahead of VNT, another team, and then ET8 with 7% of the votes. Although, to be fair, they came close. They're starting on the second row with Jonas Arpol, his teammate, Giovanni Baruzza, all the way down in P14. And at least for F1AF, the good news is that Jordan Mopti has improved to 13th. Now, AMR also quite far down there. O&B, a little bit of a mixed bag. So let's see what they can do from there. Ooh, well, this might change things around. This, my friends, is rain. And the crowd is very happy with this, as you can see. All cheering in perfect synchronization. The intermediate tires, at the very least, will be used. And that changes things around massively. Perhaps somebody else will rise to the occasion. Is Sixten Lindhart up for the job? We know Mark Schluter to be a very, very fast driver in the rain. So perhaps TF10 can put themselves in the mix properly with him. He starts from 7th behind his teammates. I do not know about some other drivers, how quick they will be in the rain. It's a bit of an unknown still. This is going to be very interesting. Sixten Lindhart from pole position, Simon Engel alongside him, the two rivals for the title so far. The next team is TF10 in 3rd place. Yeah, they are about 100 points behind at the moment to FRT, so they're nowhere near the championship fight. They're going to need a miracle to get back into the title fight, that's for sure. So we'll keep it on FRT versus VNT for this season. And VNT, of course, formerly being NLR, can reclaim their title back since Season 3. Season 4 was FVR. Last season was TF10. Season 3 was NLR, aka now VNT. They've got a big job ahead of them. They've got a tough team to beat. FRT is no slouch with Sixten Lindhart, so it's going to be a tough one to beat him. Nonetheless, it's going to be very interesting to watch. Can't wait to see what happens there. We're just waiting for the drivers to ready up. Sixten Lindhart is definitely ready to ready up, as shown in the Discord. And here we go then, obviously intermediate tires. Let's see how long the rain lasts as 5 lights are on. And now off with Sixten Lindhart coming off the line quite well. Simon Engel can not pull alongside him just yet. Jonas Arpol potentially under threat from Spetzi going into turn 1. What are they going to do? Let's see, side by side. No, but there's somebody else side by side. There's Alex Santana trying to go into P4, and he does, making it very difficult to Spetzi, allowing Mark Schluter potentially to get alongside as well. But now Mark Schluter gets a poor exit, allowing Anton Chabotarov to potentially swoop around the outside, but he can't. And perhaps the inside, no, because there's Tom Wolfgram now taking the position from him. Several drivers in the background going off the track into the gravel, losing positions here and there. F1AF and AMR drivers in trouble already. And look at that, Simon Engel already side by side with Sixten Lindhart for the lead. There will be no DRS. He's gonna have to do it all on his own. But there's no way past. Simple as that. In the background, once again, somebody off the track. It was Mark Schluter in trouble this time, losing out. TF10 in trouble as well. However, they've got something to celebrate for, as Alex Santana has now already gone into P3. Looks like the rain might be his specialty then. I'm trying to figure out whether it's still raining. Yes, it is. It's a bit difficult to see from the camera. The spectators cam. Somebody cutting the corner right there. That's Nicolin. Not having the greatest race at the moment either. Nick Golden getting past now. And Simon Engel is pushing Sixten Lindhart all the way. Sixten is struggling. Simon is on a roll. Alex Santana as well. Let's see how the position swaps have been so far. At the end of the first lap, they're side by side then. Jonas Orpel and Spetzi fighting for P4. And it looks like for now it's actually Tom Wolfgram attacking now. Spetzi into turn 2. They keep it clean. Impressive racing by the both of them, and Wolfgram goes into P5. Strong start then for the second VNT driver, who's eager to help out his teammates for the win. More drivers to have up front. Is it raining? It is raining, as you can see on the driver's cam. I absolutely agree. It's difficult to tell, as Wolfgram has now also gotten past Jonas Orpel. Orpel having had a few poor exits. But yeah, it's definitely raining. I'm not sure why it's difficult to tell right now on the camera itself. The question is, for how long will it be raining? José Nieto already having pitted. For a new front wing, most likely, due to the collisions on lap 1. You saw them all going off in the background. Struggling. Yeah, light rain is not making it easy for them. And the top 4 are starting to drive away. Jonas Orpel is not able to keep up. He's got Spessy still in tow. Anton Cherbotarov, Nick Golden, Gabriel Moya, Nick rounding up the top 10. Mark Schluter trying to get back into the top 10. After going off into the gravel near Acro Minerale. Spetsy is definitely putting Orpel under pressure. Orpel is not happy in these conditions. At least not yet. Perhaps tire wear could come into play for him. He's gaining little bits through the corners because of the top 4 being this close together. And now he's got the purple first sector. And then immediately loses out again. It's tough for these drivers. You can see that. Tom Wolfgram trying to keep up with the top 3. He leaves a tiny bit of a gap. Simon Engel is still all over the back of Sixten Lindhard. Hasn't found a way past yet. Alex Santana is definitely keeping the pressure on as well to the Ferrari driver, as he has to look in his rear view mirrors to see the other Ferrari driver very near him. Other than that, it's stabilized quite a bit. And Simon Engel is very eager to get past. Same goes for Tom Wolfgram. We might soon see VNT dominant once again, as it stands 4 drivers in the mix for the win. Simon Engel can't get close enough on the main straight. Jonas Orpel now indeed with the fastest lap of the race. So despite not being able to keep up, he's somehow faster still. Tom Wolfgram now pushing Alex Santana. Perhaps in turn 5. But no, simply isn't close enough. If somebody in the chat has any information on whether the rain will last, I would love to know. Ooh, something happening a bit further down the line. It's Mark Schluter, Liam Hiley and Nicolin fighting for P10. 3 wide, they're gonna go! Surely not! Into the next corner. That's not going to work out, but there's still 3 wide, and of course it goes wrong. Off goes Mark Schluter, off went Nicolin. And no surprises there. I was surprised they decided to go side by side for that long. None of them wanted to bail out. And one of them had to go. And Mark Schluter once again off the track, now down to P16. TF10 having a very mixed bag of racing tonight, with Alex Santana moving up and Mark Schluter falling down. The man who enjoyed driving in the rain so much in last year's game is not a happy man tonight. And Adam Schumer in trouble again, as this time his game is crashing instead of his steering wheel. Still a very unhappy man then, that's for sure. Liam Heidi and Nicolin carry on though. After their 3 wide in turn 9. I'm staggered none of them wanted to back out. Probably would have been smarter. Now one of them has fallen a victim. Mark Schluter has fallen back. José Nieto with the fastest lap. He's alone, he's got plenty of clear air. But he's going to have to make these tires last a long time if it rains all race, of course. That's a big question. joining on board with Alex Santana. Going through the variante Alta once again, the chicane. The gaps have stabilized. Simon Engel is leaving a bit of a gap to Sixten Lindhard as well. We've seen him looking here and there to make a move, but he can't get close enough on the place where it's where the most overtakes will happen. That's at the end of this straight. And he's falling back more. Sixten Lindhard is now beginning to push. He now posts the fastest lap of the race. He's definitely stretching his legs. Tom Wolfgram still in the hunt for the podium. Adam Schumer now with the fastest lap of the race. This game is back in business. He's closed the gap to Mark Schluter by a second. He was 1.3 behind. And now he's well within range. In fact, he's going to go on the move on the offensive to get back into P16. Mark Schluter closes the door. Brilliant defending there by the veteran TF10 driver. With another opportunity for Adam Schumer to get past this time on the inside. And Tosa, side by side, there he goes still. Is he winning out this time then? No, because Mark Schluter has decided to go side by side again in turn 9. Last time it didn't work out, and this time, wisely so, decides to yield. He doesn't want to repeat of 2 laps ago. Smart decision by Mark Schluter there. Even though that will cost him a position. As DRS gets enabled. It's now dry. That is interesting. And that means we will see drivers pit a whole lot faster now. The top 4 is all gone away from the rest of the field. Sure, they're box now. And what's VNT going to do? They will double stack, and Tom Wolfgram has got no choice but to carry on. This is going to hurt. Depending on how fast the track dries. He's got the fastest lap of the race. He's going to have to push like mad. Gabriel Moya carries on. Several other drivers, of course, to prevent the double stack, will carry on as well. Sixten Lindhard on the medium tires. Others go for the hards. Sixten wants a quick first stint on the dry tires. Surely neither of these tires will last to the end. Nor the hards, nor the mediums. All of them, I think, will have to pit again. Sixten Lindhard for sure. He's probably realizing now that he's the only driver on the mediums. That means he's going to have to make the most of the pace of those mediums for now. He needs to get out of DRS range of Simon Engel. That will make his life easier. And that means Simon is open for attack from Alex Santana. 4 drivers carried on the intermediate tires because they had no choice. Nicolin is struggling already. It's not a puncture. It's just gone too wide there. Liam Hiley side by side there with Benjamin Letourneur, but he can't get past. Letourneur staying ahead for the time being for P12. They've got their own group to fight in. And Sixten Lindhard is pushing like mad. He's already 2 seconds clear from Simon Engel. And here come the final remaining 4 drivers on the inters for their stop. Tom Wolfgram for the hards. Gabriel Moya, Jordan Mopti, Nicolin. What are they going to choose? Hard tires as well for all of them. And that means officially Sixten Lindhard is the one to go for an alternate strategy. Tom Wolfgram is going to exit almost now. How much has he lost to the rest? Well, it could have been worse, to be fair. He's still right behind his teammate. So it's not too bad, actually. At least not for Tom. Manages to hang on to DRS. That is crucial for VNT. Very crucial. Sixten is vulnerable in front. For now, he's faster. But VNT have got 2 drivers together now. Alex Santana is also vulnerable from attack from these 2 drivers. Simon and Tom can now work together. They've cleared the rest. Spetsy behind, Jonas Arpel behind. They were already behind, of course, but they've reconnected to the DRS to these cars. So that's how it stands then. If you just tuned in, we have just had some rain. Intermediate tires, that's what we started on. Then suddenly the track dried really quick. DRS went online. And everybody's pitted for the hards, except for Sixten Lindhard, who's pushing like crazy now. 3.3 seconds away from Alex Santana in 2nd place. And it's actually Alex who's driving away now. Betsy with the fastest lap, getting closer and closer to Tom Wolfgram. Now we will see their pace in the dry. Simon Engel got very close there to Alex Santana, not close enough to make the move. Tom Wolfgram is also pushing his own teammate. Perhaps a driver swap will happen here. Anton Chebotarov in trouble. He's apparently disconnected. I can't see any joining or leaving messages because my taskbar is in the way. So any messages on the bottom of the screen I cannot see, unfortunately. Look at that, as Alex Santana has actually got serious pace. He's pulling away through the middle sector. Perhaps he's pushing hard, or maybe he simply has better race pace than Simon Engel at the moment. Look at that, gaining some more time through the corners. And Tom Wolfgram as well, telling Simon to hurry up. Looks like Engel is in trouble. In fact, he nearly gets driven out of DRS. That's how serious it's becoming right now as Nick Hiley passes Nicolin for P10. Simon having to use a whole lot of battery there to keep up. To retain DRS, Sixten Lindhardt, no surprises there. Fastest lap of the race, 20.8. And Gabriel Moya going faster. He's got clear air, so no surprises there. Simon Engel back in the gearbox of Alex Santana, thanks to DRS. This is the moment where Alex will pull away again, potentially, and Tom Wolfgram, I think, would like to get past Simon Engel, but it's going to be difficult, because if Simon yields to his teammate, he could be under pressure from Spetsy a whole lot more than Thomas at the moment. So it seems like the wisest decision for now is to keep Simon Engel in front. Some questions being asked in the chat. Whether some drivers are going to save tires to make it to the end. The answer is perhaps. So we'll see. One driver is pushing for sure. Sixten Lindhardt now well over 5 seconds clear from the rest of the field. And Simon Engel pushed out of DRS, or is he? He barely makes it. He barely makes it. But Alex Santana is clearly faster at the moment. I feel like next lap, Simon will no longer have DRS. Sixten Lindhardt even faster now. 20.0. $19.8 from Gabriel Moya. This man is pushing like crazy. He's already in the DRS range of Supply Raptor, aka Nick Golden. Max Schlutter even faster than that. He's barely hanging on to points. But this is the pace we expect of him. And Stixon is still pulling away. The medium tires are still fine. And this is the moment where Alex Santana should push Simon Engel out of DRS range. Zeta Nieto even faster now, 18.9 on the hard tires. Is this the moment where the hard tires come into play against the mediums? Well, certainly not if it were up to Sixten. He's still pulling away, 5.7 seconds now. Simon Engel finds his pace a bit more. Alex can no longer pull away. The track is becoming warmer and Simon is starting to get into a certain rhythm. And he might become dangerous again to Alex Santana. For a moment, we thought that Santana was driving him away, out of DRS. It's not the case though. Not yet. Perhaps not anymore even. Gap is closing rapidly now. He wants to get past. That is quite sure, quite certain. There simply isn't any room to go past just yet. Gabriel Moya is certainly pushing Nick Golden for position right there. And look at that, Jordan Mopti and Liam Hiley side by side. Liam nearly losing the car. On the inside of the corner where there was simply less grip. But Liam wants to get past. He's losing an awful lot of time, he feels. But of course, this man is not having any of that. He can't keep up with the top 8. So what he does is defending as hard as he can in P9. Nicolin not too far behind either. Jordan needs his teammate Benjamin. who's just at the back of this group. Or in the middle, I should say. Alex Santana back into pushing mode. Still not good enough. Has he used up his tires? Doing so, that's the question. Jonas Orpel now pretty close to Spetsi, but instead it is Nick Golden, perhaps on the offensive against Jonas Orpel, or is he? He does come quite close. It's not close enough. His teammate Adam Schumer posts the fastest lap of the race. He's now connected to the back of the third group, or second group really. Sixten Lindhard on his own simply isn't the group. As Giovanni Baruzza gets a 3-second time penalty. Let's have a little look at the penalties. 3 drivers. Nick with 2 track limit penalties so far. And Jose Nieto keeps going faster. Unfortunately for him, he's at the back of the field as Rev is under attack from Adam Schumer. And potentially one FRT driver out of the points, but Adam has to yield. You don't want to be side by side here in turn 9. We've seen somebody trying to do so unsuccessfully. Adam Schumer is definitely quicker. And Rev simply hasn't the pace to compete with the rest tonight. FRT is therefore pretty much one man down. Sixten Lindhard now 7 seconds away. If we get a yellow flag, what's going on? Oh, the Supply Raptor. Nick Golden in trouble. Potentially, I think, a collision with Gabriel Moya, who's on a brilliant run, and now the threat from Jordan Mopti. They've had a collision for sure. That's not helping Nick Golden's advance. He's now stuck behind some other cars. Nick is appearing to be faster than Nick Hiley, but he couldn't get close enough for a move. Looks like neither car has gotten any visible damage at least. And it looks like they haven't gotten any other damage either. They're still as fast as they were. But Moya once again having to close the gap to the first group. And now he's got a whole slew of drivers in tow. Something he didn't want, that's for sure. At the front of the field, things remain the same. Sixten Lindhard is still opening up a gap. He's now 7.7 seconds away. Feel like the drivers in the hard tires are actually saving their tires. Because by this point, the mediums definitely should not be faster anymore 7 laps in. The hard should have the upper hand, but the gap is still getting bigger. And I think Sixten is realizing it. I think he's starting to realize perhaps that the rest is going for a single stint on the hard tires only. Which means he's still pushing like mad, eating up his tires, then swapping to fresh hards and potentially charge through the field again. But the pit lane here is incredibly long. So it's definitely not done and dusted yet. Adam Schumer finally gets past Rev into P15. 2 TRT drivers now in the points. Some disagreements in the chat on whether Sixten will still win if he pits. But he definitely will not make these tires last until the end. The gap is still increasing. Which further reinforces the point that the rest is saving tires. So they can opt for the one stop. Ooh, another yellow flag. That's Liam Hiley this time. What's happened there? He nearly disappeared. No visible damage. But race over. Both OMB drivers now to the points. Rev back in the points. Some luck then for FRT. 8.4 seconds from Alex to Sixten. Simon is still struggling to keep within range. Or perhaps he's just saving his tires some more. I mean, if you're struggling to keep in range of somebody else who's saving his tires, there's something wrong for sure. I think Alex is trying to find a good balance of keeping Simon behind and saving his own tires at the same time. .8 seconds. I think this pit lane costs you about 28 seconds. If he comes back out, he'll simply be in P16. That's how it is. And then he has to charge through every single one of these drivers to get back in the lead. You'll need some mighty laps. But those tires won't last much longer. You cannot really see the gap isn't increasing as fast anymore. A couple of tenths per lap perhaps. If that. Yeah, this is such a long and slow pit lane. I've read somewhere that I believe it was about 28 seconds, but I see people saying 22. Well, it's still very slow either way. We're past the halfway point of the race. Lap 17 out of 32. Lindhard in the lead. Supply Raptor barely hanging on to Nicolin. And Rev has pitted. Looks like he's decided to go for the two-stop anyway. I doubt this will set off a chain reaction. He will definitely not catch up to the field in time. He simply hasn't got the pace for that. And Jose Nieto and Anton Chebotarov will pass. Anton, I believe, is still an AI. Gap now 9.2 seconds. Still a couple of tenths in the middle sector. But that's it. Alex Santana still hanging on to second place in the meanwhile. Simon Engel is on the verge of losing DRS all the time. I think he does a good enough job to just stay within it. Pushing a little bit extra when he has to on the straight parts of the track. That won't cost you any tire life. As Gabriel Moya passes, vice versa. Nicolin passes Gabriel Moya for P8. Gabriel might potentially come back at him. He's very close. Is there going to be a move in turn 2 then? Nicolin's got no slipstream, but he's got DRS. Gabriel Moya's having a look. Oh, where's Nicolin? Nicolin disappears. Where's he gone? Oh, there he is. No contact there. Nick simply broke way too late, I'm afraid. And somehow he's still there. And still with no extra penalty. Still in 6 seconds. Gabriel Moya lets him back through. So perhaps there was contact. Then nearly went disastrously wrong again. Gabriel made way for Nicolin. Then plowed into the gearbox of the McLaren. And then there suddenly was Benjamin Letanneur tapping him. It's a kind gesture from Gabriel, that's for sure. But the execution wasn't perfect. Let's keep it at that. The gap between P1 and 2 is now stabilized at 9.1 seconds. We're all asking ourselves, when will Sixton pit? Because he will for sure get a puncture if he stays out for the rest of the race on those mediums. I do not know how warm they are. Got no information on that. As Gabriel Moya is going to go for another attempt on Nicolin. Just a bit too far back. Nick is just hanging on to DRS himself. And now it remains a bit quiet on the overtake front. Rev now with the fastest lap of the race. But it won't be good enough for a good result, I'm afraid. Although Nick Golden has pitted as well for fresh hards. That's interesting. But they're now so far behind. If nobody else stops, they will score pretty much nothing there. Sixton, there he goes, there he goes in now! Braking as late as possible without picking up a penalty. The race leader pits on the end of lap 19. For his set of hard tires. And now we're going to see what he can do. Luckily for him, he's not the only one who's decided to go for a two-stop. You can see in the background Gabriel Moya and Benjamin Letanneur coming in as well. But it takes forever to exit this pit lane. And off he goes. If everybody else in the top of the field stays out, it will be a tough one to catch up. The gap to the leader, 17 seconds. So it was indeed about 26 seconds in the pit lane there. So he had the 9 seconds he had on Alex. That's where he was originally. The lap difference is now a staggering 12 to 13 laps. And we'll keep this gap thing open for a little bit. Sixten Lindhard, 15.5 seconds now and gaining fast. What's the rest going to do? What are they thinking? What goes through their head? They have to make these tires last for another 12 laps. Is that possible? For now, they seem to think so, except for Jordan Mopti. He comes in now for the second stop. Simon Engel is now properly pushing Alex Santana for position, giving him the hurry up. They have to. Sixten Lindhard's gap, we'll soon see it once he passes those in the pit lane. Now 13.7. Whatever these drivers do, if they pit, they probably should go for the mediums to have any chance at catching Sixten Lindhard. Perhaps that is why they stay out for a little longer. Adam Schumer is going for those mediums, certainly. .3. He's pushing hard because he can. He could push hard on the mediums. He can push hard again on the hard tires as well. He's 8 seconds away from the tail end of this group. That is Mark Schluter and Giovanni Baruzza, and they are barely hanging on themselves. Look how fast he's gaining. But would it be fast enough? Are they going to come in? They still don't. The longer they stay out, the more likely it becomes, except for Nicolin, that there will be a one-stop for everybody there. Giovanni Baruzza does the same thing. To the mediums they go. Giovanni to the hards. Different opinions on the second tire then as well. Supply Raptor goes through. Rev goes through. This is good news for Tia, for FRT. They've got 2 drivers back in the top 10. With Rev right behind Nick Golden. There's still every opportunity for him, even though he's got a penalty, to score some better points than he originally did. Sixten Lindhard, 8.6 seconds away now. He's almost with the group. But then he still has to get past all of them. Mark Schluter now is at the tail end. His teammate is the leader, so Mark Schluter certainly will not make this man's life easy. They come around once more. Nobody pits. I feel like if they don't pit by the end of lap 24, they will commit to the one stop. And then they will have to deal with Sixten on the fresher tires. And then it will definitely explain the tire saving. Liam Hiley comes in now for a second stop. He'll be falling back to the pretty much the tail end of the field, isn't it? Both OMD drivers in last place, but Anton, of course, being AI and to be disqualified because he can't get back in, simply will not be classified there. That is what it is. Sixten Lindhard now less than 6 seconds away from the leader. I feel like by the end of this lap, he's going to be with the group. And then it is going to get very interesting. He will start suffering from dirty air. Overtaking on this track is already difficult, even without this game. Five seconds, less than that now. He will not get DRS yet. He certainly will on the next lap. And the leaders carry on still. They've no longer got a choice if they pit now. Supply Raptor... Oh, sorry, Sixten Lindhard is gone. This is the only way they can defend their leading positions. And Sixten Lindhard can brighten FRT's day if he can beat both VNT drivers to at least claw something back in the championship. But he's alone. Rev is only in P10, and he's barely able to keep up with Nick Golden and Gabriel Moya. And he's got a penalty to his name, 3 seconds to be precise. These tires now 4 laps old, and there they are! There they are! Simple as that! Easy peasy does it! Sixten Lindhard is with the rest, and the first to fall victim is Mark Schluter as he already goes side by side before the Variante Alta. And he gets past, no problem. Mark Schluter tried to fight back, but he simply doesn't have the tire life. And his teammate becomes a bit more vulnerable to attack from this man now. Mark Schluter can no longer play the defensive role for his teammate. It simply wasn't possible. Next up, Jonas Orpel. The tire saving strategy might not have worked. They might have saved their tires, but they are 18 or 17 laps old, and Sixten has been pushing all the way on these tires as well. And Jonas has been passed already. Next up, Spetsy. Is he gonna go on the inside? No, he backs out a little bit. He's got plenty of time, and he knows it. Spetsy up next. And then the 2 VNT cars, and then it's going to get truly interesting. Mark Schluter and Jonas Orpel have backed out. They have fallen out of DRS range immediately. Is he going to do it here then, like he did against Mark Schluter? Yes, he is. Extra speed there through the corner, no problem whatsoever. And now up next, the 2 rivals for the title. Tom Wolfgram and Simon Engel see and feel the hot breath of Sixten Lindhard in their necks. And there he goes. 1 VNT car perhaps done. Tom Wolfgram tries to hang around the outside. But like Mark Schluter, the tire life isn't there whatsoever. He's very close. Spetsy is there as well, but I'm not sure if Spetsy wants to attack. It will not help their advance. Simon Engel has gone into the lead. He's got no choice. Oh, there goes Alex Santana with a dive from Sixten Lindhard. And I'm not sure what the FIA will think of that move for sure. Alex is going to report Sixten for pushing him off the track, and Sixten now tries to go around the outside of Simon Engel. If he gets a penalty, he's got to push even harder. And perhaps he realizes it. He might have been a bit more patient there. Or perhaps he was afraid Simon would disappear into the distance, but I don't think he needed to be worried. Because he's so much faster than everybody here, and he's back in the lead once again. He's got 6 laps to pull away. To pull a gap. Ideally 5 seconds to make sure he can cover a potential penalty from Alex Santana. Alex is now barely hanging on to Simon's DRS. Does he have damage from the collision with Sixten Lindhard? Did he himself defend too hard, perhaps? We haven't seen the incident properly. I will certainly check the incident report if it happens. Probably does. And Alex has fallen out of the DRS range. Simon Engel is doing everything in his power to keep up with Sixten Lindhard. And I have to say, he's doing a fine job so far. He's not going to make it that easy for Lindhard. Probably because he knows that perhaps the Red Bull driver will get a penalty by the end. Looks like he needs a 5-second gap. Yep, people saying in the chat as well. The 5-second gap is a wise one to pull. But Simon Engel is now starting to push on those tires. Perhaps the tire saving then did come in handy. Alex Santana certainly can't keep up. Tom Wolfgram is trying to get past there to get back to his teammates. Alex about to lose the podium perhaps. And Simon Engel is still there. Is he then the only driver who's done the tire saving properly? Sixten is still not out of DRS range. It is a crazy offset, yes, 13 laps difference, but Simon is making it look like it simply isn't there, a difference. Now he's finally out of DRS range. And once that actually happens, then I feel like Sixten will drive away again. There he goes. Tom Wolfgram passed Alex Santana, VNT, 2 drivers on the podium. And even though FRT might win this race, it will not help them in their advance in the championship because Rev is now down in P11. 1.4 seconds. Sixten needs at least 5 to prevent dropping back because of a potential penalty. He's going to have to push once again, like he did on those mediums, which worked out really well for him. Pushing all the way seems to be a valid strategy. Tire saving, not so much. It simply was too long of a stint to make it work. They still need 4 laps on these tires. And I wonder how close they are to puncture territory. Let me have a little look at these tires. Yeah, they don't look that shiny, don't they? They look like they are definitely in the high 60s in terms of tire wear percentage, if not in the 70s already. Let's see how Simon's Tom Wolfgram's tires look. Same story, really. They are all in danger, I'm afraid. Sixten now 2 seconds clear. Simon Engel has tried and failed. But he needs to stay within 5 seconds preferably as Nick Golden gets past Gabriel Moya. Up into P8. Giovanni Baruzza. Oh my goodness, that nearly was horribly wrong. If this is a safety car, then Sixten's advance is completely over. And he'll be at serious risk. Nick backs out. It was quite tense. Woo! Nick is definitely wanting to get past quickly. He's not happy with Giovanni right there. He drives onto the grass now for some reason. Allowing Adam Shore to close in. Driving standards are peak right here. Well, it's not as bad as I've seen in the past on this game. It could be far worse, trust me. We're reaching the end of the race now, lap 30, 4.6 seconds. Unless it's a 10-second penalty, then Sixten might be saved by the end of this. 5 seconds now. Alex Santana is back. Alex Santana is definitely back to try and claim the podium! And once again goes off the track. First against Sixten, and now against Tom, and this time he was on the offensive. Who was at fault there? And Alex backs out. Simon Engel has returned to help out his teammate. He's realized that Tom was vulnerable. And he also realized that Sixten cannot be caught. And that it is unlikely that Sixten will receive a 5 or even a 10-second penalty. So now, he's completely dropped down back to Tom Wolfgram's DRS range. And VNT will show their teamwork once again. Alex became too much of a threat. This is the teamwork you only see in events like this. If this was a normal, quote-unquote, normal league race, Simon would definitely never have dropped back. He would just carried on. But he knows his duty, and his duty is to help out Wolfgram with DRS, because Alex now can no longer find a way past. He does get awfully close. But had Wolfgram not had any DRS then, he would have had gone for a move, but he does get awfully close. Really, really close, but simply not close enough for a move, because Wolfgram himself now pushes. This is proper teamwork. And some luck there for Alex Santana as Mark Schluter has come back into the fray. Half a second away from Spezzi. If he can get past, then perhaps they can launch an offensive. with 2 drivers against VNT. The reigning champions against the championship leaders. That would be a fascinating battle. Sixten Lindhart are 12 seconds away. Even if he gets a 10-second penalty now, he's completely safe. He's absolutely dominated in qualifying, in the rain and in the dry conditions. Nobody could touch him. And he needs to hold out for 1 more lap. Same goes for these drivers on their ancient tires who've been driven down to the canvas. Are probably in popping limit already. Popping range. All they need to do is keep them alive for 1 more lap. Once again, Alex Santana getting closer and closer, but this time Tom Wolfgram is deploying ERS by himself too. And once again, no way past unless Wolfgram gets a poor exit, but he doesn't. Oh, he does actually, sort of. Sort of. Is he going to dive then? No, he's going to try and force him into a mistake here. Dive in this turn is probably the only choice he's got. Yes, he does! And there he goes! Tom Wolfgram closed the door. Perhaps too late. Perhaps on the braking. And there goes Wolfgram. Absolute disaster for VNT. Who had it covered. They had a second and third position in hands. No longer. And now, FRTs will score more points. With Sixten Lindhart dominating to the race win. 15 seconds away from the man in second place. Absolute extraordinary drive by him there. Nobody had an answer. The VIP for the FRT team. And Simon Engel will nurse his car home in second. But he will not be joined by Tom Wolfgram, his teammate. It is Spetsy who rounds off the podium for IRT, and they will be delighted with that one. Alex Santana and Mark Schluter finish in P6 and 7 behind Jonas Orpel and Nick Golden. Nick Golden will be delighted with this result. He's also done a 2-stop, and he's managed to get into the top 5. Also with all the penalties around him, of course, helping him up there. And F1AF have had an extraordinary race themselves too, from the back of the field to P8 and P10. They'll be delighted with that result. O&B, no points tonight. RT second driver, Nicolin P15. What a race. What a race. Alex Santana already saying in the chat he's done. I can completely understand that. It's difficult to say whose fault it was. Did Santana commit to the move too late? Did Wolfgram defend it too late? Let's see. Certainly, there will be 2 investigations where Alex Santana was involved. 3 investigations, actually. 2 collisions with Tom Wolfgram. 1 collision with Sixten Lindhart. But here we are. This is your result. Benjamin Letourneur from 18th to 8th place. Well done to him. Frankly, nobody retired. Which is a rare thing. I think everybody's finally realized that the top 15 grants you points instead of just the top 10. Jose Danieto with the fastest lap. He's posted a lot of fastest laps this race. I mean, I wonder what he could have done. Was he up there? It just wasn't, unfortunately. Struggling in qualifying. And in the race, he struggled, despite being very fast. Thanks to a broken front wing, I think. Instead of me asking for if people want an interview, and I'm not getting asked by a driver if they can get an interview. That is interesting. So let's see if I can tag everybody. We're going to have to talk to Simon Engel first. Let's switch back to my face. Hello, my face. Hi there. Hi. And let's drag in Simon Engel to have a little chat about this race. Simon, there you are. Well, I'm not sure whether to say congrats on second place or commiserations because, well, you held on for quite a while, but Sixton's pace was on another level, wasn't it?
Yeah, his strat was on another level, not the pace. Strat was just insanely better, but whatever it is, it's still P2. It's damage limitation. I was at the end, I don't know, Sixten got 3 seconds at the end. He would get 5 seconds if TF10 reports something, because he completely pushed too past Alex. So maybe my back off to help Tom, my teammate, at the end, maybe lost me the win after penalties, but whatever it is. It was an interesting race with rain, but was no real rain. It was just, I don't know why it was there. And yeah, the quali was just not on point, but we take it.
Yeah, I mean, speaking of the race, the discussion, of course, will be about the 1 or 2 stop. You said Sixten's pit stop strategy was much better. It started to rain at the start of the race, then you went to the dry tires. What was the discussion between you and your race engineer about the strategy?
Yeah, I thought like the pit is the longest pit, I think, in the whole game. So I thought the 1 stop is clear the best, because I have not thought that the 2 stop, like the hards at the end, are so fast for Sixten. So, like I said from beginning on, we do a 1 stop. So it was kind of also my mistake, but we could not know that these tires are so good. But yeah, as I said, damage limitation at the end, just a bit unlucky with the send from Alex into Tom at the end, but we should not talk about that, because we would talk we took very long.
Yeah, I mean, that's probably something for the FIA to have a little talk about later down the line, I think. How worn were the tires by the end, I wonder?
I was hitting exactly 80% tire wear at the end, so it's exactly the point where the tires can explode. Like I was tire saving the most I've ever done, I think, because I had very less tire wear, so it was very good, but was not enough.
Yeah, you were actually able to keep up with Sixten for a little while. Where did that come from?
Yeah, like I started to save from beginning on that my tires are good at the end to do exactly that, but like the tire advantage he had was just insane. And like at the end, as I said, it's maybe unlucky because I backed off and then Tom got taken out, so I should have not backed off, and maybe I would get the win after stewards, but we never know. So
yeah, we'll never know. Either way, it's still second place. There's still quite a gap to FRT in the championship. Do you think they'll pose a threat at some point?
My English not that good, so I have not understood what the word is meaning, but
do you think FRT will get closer to you now in the championship?
Let's say, I don't know, if you watch the standings, we lost 2 times on points, I think, on this whole season, so I would say next race we gain again.
Well, we'll see. Thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you.
Cheers. All right, apart from Simon, unfortunately, neither of the other podium sitters are up for an interview. I'm not sure if Spetsy has actually seen it. Would have liked to hear from him. A bit of a surprise for him, probably, that he ended up on the podium, because it was more likely to be a double VNT podium, as we've seen a few times now this season. It wasn't to be, though. Alex Santana and Tom Wolverum collided. We'll certainly get some instant reports, but I think Sixten Lindhardt's win is completely safe. He was 15 seconds away from Simon Engel at the line, so that's all good, I think. Let's have one more look at the calendar before we say our goodbyes, because next week we've got one of the best tracks to race on out of them all. Austria being brilliant as usual. Then Canada, Britain and Australia to round off the season. It's getting closer to the tail end of this season, in fact. And if FRT wants to do something, they'll have to bring in very fast drivers every single week from this point onwards. For now, though, they have gained a little bit on VNT. And we'll see what happens with the rest of the incident reports and potential penalties. Thank you so much for joining. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe to the channel as well. Have a great morning, afternoon, and evening, wherever you are. And we'll see you same place, same time next week. Until then, goodbye.